They lied. Demons can be healed by the dark chosen ones. You were probably told demons are evil, that they are to be feared, cast out, destroyed. That light is pure and darkness is corrupt. You've heard it countless times, in books, in sermons, in whispers passed down through generations. But what if I told you that the greatest lie ever told is not that demons exist, but that they cannot be healed? That they are separate from us? That they are doomed? What if? The darkness itself holds the key to liberation, and the ones born from shadows are not the enemy, but rather the chosen healers of the abyss. I know, it sounds insane, but sit with this for a moment. You've felt it, haven't you? That strange pull toward things you were told to avoid. That voice in your head that seems to whisper truths too dangerous to say out loud. That feeling that maybe, just maybe, the things labeled evil are simply misunderstood. You are not alone in that feeling. I've been there too, and what I discovered shattered everything I believed about good and evil, light and dark, angels and demons.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
Let's go back, not just to the myths of old, but to the beginning of consciousness itself, when the first fragments of awareness broke through the void. In that primal silence, both light and darkness were born, not as enemies, but as twins, complementary forces, necessary halves of the same whole. You cannot know light unless you have known darkness. You cannot ascend unless you have descended. And therein lies the hidden path, the truth they never wanted us to see. The demons we speak of, what if they are not monsters, but wounded consciousness, beings or energies so burdened by pain, trauma, fragmentation, that they appear grotesque or terrifying to the untrained eye? What if their rage is not malice, but a cry for integration? What if healing is not about conquest, but communion? I've sat with them. I've gone deep into the caves of my own spirit, into the realms where shadows dance and scream. And I did not find evil. I found sorrow. I found memories trapped in loops of agony. I found parts of myself that I had exiled long ago, calling them names like unworthy, sinful, broken. But they were never broken. They were only pushed away, neglected, untended. And when I approached them not with fear, but with presence, they began to soften, to speak, to remember, and I began to heal. You see, the healing of demons is not a metaphor. It is a real spiritual process, and not everyone can do it. It requires someone who has walked through fire and survived, someone who has tasted madness and didn't run, someone who has been touched by darkness and chose not to curse it, but to understand it. These are the dark chosen ones, and if you're still watching, still listening, maybe you are one of them. We were never meant to be saints in robes of white, untouched by chaos. We were meant to be warriors of spirit who descend into the depths, retrieve lost pieces, and bring them home. Healing a demon is not about exorcism. It's about remembrance. It's about looking into the eyes of pain and saying, I see you. You exist. You are part of me. It's about reclaiming what others have abandoned. Have you ever asked yourself why you're drawn to the things others fear? Why you feel a strange kinship with the misunderstood, the outcast, the damned? Maybe it's not because you're lost. Maybe it's because you've been chosen to find what others have thrown away. Maybe your empathy is not a weakness, but the very tool needed to bridge the realms of light and dark. I remember the first time I heard a demon speak, not in some Hollywood horror movie way, but in meditation, deep silence. It wasn't angry. It was tired. So tired of being hated. So tired of being hunted. And when I asked it what it needed, it didn't ask for power or blood or vengeance. It asked for permission to rest, to be seen, and to be forgiven. And in that moment I knew the war between light and dark is not won by violence. It is won by witnessing. But here's the twist. Not everyone is ready for this. Most people will reject this truth. They are still trapped in duality, in the illusion that salvation is about climbing up, not diving down. They think angels are the only ones who can heal. But sometimes it takes a fallen one to lift up another. Sometimes you must become what you fear to find what you need. And that is the sacred task of the dark chosen ones. We do not chase the light. We carry it into the dark. You may wonder, but what if I become corrupted? What if by entering the darkness, I lose myself? That is the test. That is the razor's edge we walk. But here's the truth: you cannot be corrupted by what you love. And if you love the darkness enough to heal it, not to control it, not to use it, but to understand it, it cannot consume you. Love is the shield. Compassion is the sword. Presence is the armor. So now I ask you, what parts of yourself have you labeled as demonic? What emotions have you buried because they felt too intense, too shameful, too wild? What if those were your most sacred gifts waiting to be retrieved? What if your anger is the guardian of your truth? Your lust the fire of your creativity? Your fear the compass pointing toward your true path? We've been lied to, told to fear what we should explore, taught to cast out what we should embrace. But now we remember, we awaken, we return. And as we return, we realize demons are not the enemy. They are the forgotten, and we are the ones who remember. The journey has just begun. If this resonates, if something in your soul is stirring, asking to go deeper, then you know this is more than a theory. It's a remembering of who you truly are, with the mirror of the abyss, becoming the light that heals shadows. When we stand before the mirror of the abyss, we do not merely see darkness, we see ourselves, stripped of illusions. We see the raw, unfiltered truth. And that truth is not always beautiful, at least not in the way we've been conditioned to define beauty. It is chaotic, primal, and often terrifying. But it is real, and in a world drowning in false light, reality itself becomes sacred. This is where the healing begins, not in escaping the shadows, but in entering them with open eyes and a steady heart. Most people try to escape themselves. They build identities around what they think is acceptable, lovable, holy. They polish the mask and hide the scars. But the dark chosen ones are different. We move toward the scar, toward the wound, because we know the wound is where the light gets in and also where the truth leaks out. When you stop running and face the abyss, you realize it was never trying to swallow you. It was trying to show you what you are made of. Here's the paradox: the more you resist darkness, the more power it gains over you. But when you turn and face it, when you allow yourself to witness it without judgment, it loses its grip. Why? Because darkness feeds on fear, and fear feeds on avoidance. But presence dissolves fear like sunlight dissolves mist. That's why true healing starts with presence, not with fixing, not with fighting, but with simply being there. Fully, unflinchingly, compassionately. I'm going to say something that might challenge everything you've believed. Demons are not here to destroy you. They are here to test your willingness to love what is unlovable, but to accept what is unacceptable, and to embrace what is exiled. They are the guardians of the gates you must pass through to become whole. And only those willing to love in the darkest places can pass. Have you ever sat with your own rage without trying to suppress it or act on it? Have you ever let shame speak without silencing it or drowning in it? Have you ever looked at your jealousy, your lust, your despair, and asked them what they needed, instead of pretending they didn't exist? If not, then you haven't truly met yourself. And if you haven't met yourself, how can you hope to heal anything beyond you? This is where the mirror of the abyss becomes your teacher. It shows you not just the demons around you, but the ones within you. And in doing so, it gives you a choice: continue to reject them, as the world has taught you to do, or embrace them and become something the world has never seen. Be a healer of shadows, a bringer of peace to the places no one dares go, a being who has walked through hell and returned with keys for others. And this is why the dark chosen ones exist: not to destroy, not to judge, but to redeem and to transmute, to liberate. We are not light bearers in the traditional sense. We are light forgers. We make light from the densest darkness, from suffering, from the forgotten. Our light is not inherited, it is earned through courageous descent and sacred remembering. So I ask you again, what if the parts of you that you've been taught to fear were never wrong? What if they were simply misunderstood gifts, asking for your attention? What if every demon you encounter is a mirror of your own forgotten power, distorted by pain? And what if your role is not to banish them, but to become the love they've never known? Let that question live in you. Let it wake something ancient inside. Because once you see the abyss as mirror, you can never go back to surface living. You become a bridge between worlds, a sanctuary for the wounded. And maybe, just maybe, the world has been waiting not for more saints, but for more whole humans. The path of fire, why only the burned can heal the burned. Some people walk around untouched, floating above the cracks in the world, never daring to peer below the surface. They speak of love and light as if that's all there is, as if the fire that rages beneath our skin can be dismissed by chanting a few mantras or lighting scented candles. But those of us who have truly burned, we know better. We know the path to healing is not paved with ease. It is a path of fire, and only those who have walked through flame can guide others through the inferno. This is the secret they don't tell you in spiritual circles. Enlightenment is not an escape from suffering, it is the transmutation of it. It is not clean and graceful. It is messy, painful, and raw. It demands that we confront everything we've buried, every scream we silenced, every wound we convinced ourselves didn't hurt. It is not about becoming perfect. It is about becoming real. And realness, true embodiment, requires fire. Because fire doesn't lie. It consumes illusions until all that's left is what cannot be burned, your essence. You can't fake initiation by fire. You can't pretend you've been through hell. The burn marks speak for themselves. The way your eyes look at someone in pain and don't flinch, that's the mark of someone who has suffered deeply. The way you hold a space of silence when someone breaks down, instead of rushing to fix them, that's the grace of someone who has sat in the ashes of their own destruction. These are not things you learn in books. These are scars that become sacred. And so we must ask, why were we burned? Why were we the ones chosen to fall, to ache, to face the unbearable? Why us? The answer is painful and beautiful, because only those who have felt the fire know how to guide others out of it. Only those who have screamed in the darkness can recognize that same scream in another and not run. Only the burned can heal the burned, because we do not offer pity, we offer presence. We do not bring answers, we bring truth. And truth, when held with love, becomes liberation. Think about the worst thing you've ever been through. Not just the event, but the part of you that shattered because of it, and the part of you that died. Now ask yourself what rose in its place. What was reborn? If you're honest, you'll see it wasn't just pain that came from the fire, it was power, clarity, compassion that is not performative, but fiercely real. That fire destroyed what was never truly you and revealed what was eternal. This is the alchemy of the dark chosen ones. We walk into the flames not to die, but to awaken. We let the fire take our masks, our pride, our egoic identities, and we emerge with eyes that see differently. We don't look away from suffering, we lean into it. We don't fear demons, we listen to them. We don't preach from pedestals, we kneel beside the broken and whisper, "I've been here too." And maybe that's what healing really is. Not fixing, not curing, but remembering, reconnecting what was severed, reclaiming what was denied. When someone who has burned offers their presence to another soul still in flames, something sacred happens, a kind of resonance, a recognition. Suddenly the pain becomes bearable not because it's gone, but because it's no longer alone. And that changes everything. So I ask you, what if your wounds were never just for you? What if your suffering was not a punishment, but a preparation? What if every scar you carry is a doorway for someone else to walk through? Are you willing to let your pain become medicine? Are you willing to be seen not just in your strength, but in your scars? Because the world doesn't need more untouchable gurus. It needs wounded healers. It needs those who have been shattered and still chose to love. It needs you. The final right, when you become what you feared to set others free. At the end of the path, something unexpected happens. You don't arrive at a finish line crowned in gold, surrounded by angels singing your name. No, instead you come to a doorway you swore you'd never open. A threshold that demands everything you still cling to. And as you stand before it, trembling, you realize the final right is not about ascending, it's about becoming. Becoming what you once feared. Becoming what you once judged. Not to lose yourself, but to remember who you were before the world told you who to be. That's when you understand the truth that no one dares to say out loud. Healing demons isn't about saving them. It's about becoming them just long enough to rewrite their story from the inside out. You become the pain, the fury, the hunger, the sorrow. You let it pass through your body like a current, not resisting, not controlling. You surrender. Because only in becoming can you learn to unchain what's been bound. You cannot heal what you still hold apart from yourself. The dark chosen ones are not saviors. We are mirrors. We reflect the truth so fiercely, so nakedly, that even demons must look away until they are ready to see. And when they do, they begin to remember. They remember they were once whole. They remember they were once light. And in that moment, something impossible happens. The monster begins to weep. The claws retract, and the fire cools, and a soul begins to return to itself. You've heard the stories of saints, of gods, of warriors who slayed dragons. But what if the true power lies not in slaying the dragon, but in holding it until it no longer wants to burn anything? What if the final right is not a battle, but a reconciliation? This is how liberation happens, not from outside in, but from inside out. And it demands the ultimate sacrifice, your identity, your image, your comfort, because when you become what you feared, you are no longer afraid. You are free, and in your freedom, others begin to see what's possible. They begin to believe that maybe, just maybe, they are not beyond saving. That maybe the parts of them they thought were cursed are actually sacred. You see, demons are not the opposite of angels. They are angels who forgot who they are. And the dark chosen ones are the ones who remember on their behalf until they can remember for themselves. So, how do you know you've completed the rite? It's not when people praise you. It's not when you feel powerful. It's when you can sit in silence with someone at their lowest and feel no need to fix them. Just love them. It's when you walk into a room and the shadows lean in to listen, not because they fear you, but because they recognize you. It's when your life becomes a bridge between worlds and you no longer fear who walks across. I ask you now one last question. Are you willing to become what you once feared, not to dominate it, but to set it free? Are you willing to lose everything you thought you were in order to become everything you truly are? Because here's the final truth: the greatest light is not found in the sky. It's forged in the darkest depths of the soul. And those who walk through that darkness not to escape it, but to heal it, are the ones the world has been waiting for. You are not broken. You are not damned. You are not lost. You are becoming. You are the fire. You are the fire. You are the healer. You are one of the dark chosen ones. Now go and remember,